Are you ready, Ninja Babe? Ready to face your fears, to ignite your passions and break through your limitations? Are you ready to get out of your comfort zone and go after your dreams with unstoppable force? It's happening here on the Ninjababes podcast, the place where women spill it all about self-confidence, courage, and body image. This is where we show our strength. This is the sisterhood where girls gather to empower themselves and each other. Get ready to get rocked, because this is where you come to be encouraged and be transformed in order to live out your full potential. Be proud of yourself, Ninja Babe. Now let's get after it. Hello and welcome to the Ninjababes podcast. I'm very excited for today's episode because I am here with Rahn and April Beckner, and these two ladies are very well known, I feel like, for a lot of reasons, but to me, I can look back and see all the so specific ways that these girls have had an influence on my life in Ninja, my life in starting Ninjababes. Kim, I don't know if you remember, but when I met you was during Ultimate Backyard Warrior a few years ago, and it was probably about a few months after that I had called you on the phone one day, and I was like, hey, I have this idea. I want to start something that's like for women called Ninjababes. Like, do you think that's weird? Do you think it's a good idea? And you're just so encouraging to me about going after it and just starting something, like being willing to start something new and start something that like no one else was doing exactly. And just continuing to support the women's community in the way that ninjas were already doing so. And so Kim, like, you've always meant a lot to me, and just like looking to you and Jamie at all the ways that you've been such an integral part of this sport and part of the ninja community. I've always just loved you guys and respected you guys. And April, you and Drew have always just been huge supporters of Ninjababes from the beginning, even just with like Drew insisting on having a sticker on his laptop like immediately. And both of you always like buying shirts for girls at your gyms and just being encouraging. It's just even like simple words of like wanting to know what's going on or like encouraging what's happening has meant the world to me. So I'm so thankful for all of you. And I'm so glad to have you on the podcast today.
Well, thanks so much for having us. And I definitely remember that, Gary. I actually was just thinking on back of trying to pinpoint exactly when we first met. And we carpooled down from New Jersey to North Carolina for Backyard Warrior together. I think that was like our first introduction, was you getting into my car.
Yep, and I really had no idea who you were, and I was just like, great, this cool girl in South Jersey is gonna drive me for hours and hours, like we're gonna bond, great.
And we did, so it worked.
Yeah, yep.
Very cool.
So if you girls don't mind taking a turn and just, who are you? I know probably much of the ninja community already knows who you are, but if you could just, how did you get involved with ninja? Why, just, there's so many reasons why I've had you on the show today, but I want to just first jump into a little bit of an intro of who you are, and then we'll jump more into the rest of your stories after that.
Yeah, I'll let Kim go first. Because I haven't really heard much of Kim's story, so I'm interested to hear her side.
Sure. So my ninja journey started like a lot of females. I first was introduced to the show when Casey Catanzaro and her run kind of went viral. So I saw that, and at the time I was out of college for maybe 2 or 3 years, and was definitely looking for a way to get back into an athletic, fun thing going on in my life. I used to play basketball and soccer, and this was something that just really jumped out at me, and it really inspired me. So it's actually really funny because I saw that video, and I had actually sent an email to Pinnacle Parkour saying, hey, I'm interested in trying this out. Never went to Pinnacle Parkour until I actually met the owner, which is now my husband, Jamie. So we went on a date before I ever went to Pinnacle, but I had sent that email to the gym first. So once we started dating, I mean, his life pretty much revolved around the gym at that point. So in order for our relationship to bloom, it really had to happen a lot at the gym. So when you're at a parkour ninja gym, there's not much else to do other than train and hang out with ninjas and learn the sport itself. And that was really season 7. So when he got the call for season 7, I went out. That was Pittsburgh that year, and started testing and got really involved with the community then, going to things like Pro Weekend at Movement Lab. And I think the National Ninja League started not long after that. So I really threw myself into it pretty hard, starting to go to all the competitions and compete myself and testing for the show. And since then, I've had my hand in quite a few things that have, blossomed and grown out of the ninja community as it has continued.
Yeah, awesome. And April, go for it.
Oh, my story is a little bit different because I actually didn't know what ninja was until I met Drew. And I actually met him almost 8 years ago. I actually had no idea what ninja was. I actually kind of got an idea of it through parkour, which is kind of what Drew was doing at a time, and he was really fresh into ninja at that time. So he was running classes at a MMA gym just a couple nights a week, and he would go in and like set all this equipment up and then tear it down. I didn't even know who he was, and a few of my girlfriends started going, and I was like, "Wait, we're not hanging out like regular anymore. Like, I guess I'm gonna just have to go to the gym with you." So I just started showing up at this gym, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, this is Drew. He's so cool." And I was like, "No, he's not. Like, what are you talking about?" Like, it was just this uh, like 22, 23-year-old guy who's like teaching classes and all cool because he's on TV. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't get any of this. I don't get the parkour. I don't get why people do this. Um, but what I did like is that people were just involving themselves, so I kind of just went as a social thing at first, and then I just saw how hard Drew was working, like setting all this stuff up because he didn't own a gym at the time. He was really just setting equipment up at the gym so he could basically practice and train, and then just invited other people, and it started a whole thing there. But I saw how much he was working, and I was like, wow, like this guy needs some serious help here. So I would kind of help set some stuff up or check people in at the time. And then we started kind of forming a relationship through then. And then I started realizing how serious he was about this whole ninja and parkour thing at the time. And then it slowly just started evolving into just ninja. So really, I kind of started helping him at the gym, and I really didn't like him at first. And then the more I got to know him, the more I got to like him. And then I just started supporting him because it's so hard not to support somebody when you just watch them work so hard, and we just need help. So that's kind of how my journey, I guess, started into ninja. And then I just never left the gym life. We just kept moving, and the gym progression just kept adding on and on and on. And now we own 3 gyms, and it's been pretty cool. We're just keep on working harder and harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I love just how different the initial involvement with ninja was. And April, I love that you said that you were just like, I don't get it. But it's so true. Some people who look at ninja from the outside when you haven't experienced it, or even parkour, anything that can seem a little crazy, are just like, why are you doing this? Like, you're going to get yourself killed. Like, it can seem kind of bizarre at first. But then how did you, I mean, for both of you, Kim, I know you were testing, you were doing some of your own involvement in ninja and learning parkour and things like that alongside Jamie. And then April, I know you were involved as well. Did either of you have a desire to be on A&W or to do a lot of competing alongside them? Or did you feel at one point like you wanted to take a little bit of a different route?
Yeah, I would say when I first got involved, I mean, that was, the goal for me was to get onto American Ninja Warrior. And yeah, so about, my first 2 years into this lines up pretty well with, I think, when I met you, Kara. But that was my goal, was to get onto A&W. And so, season 7 is, I went out, I tested, I didn't apply that year. That was my first time into it. So I really didn't have the confidence, but after getting the test that year, I was like, I could really do this. And so for the entire year between the filming of season 7 and the submission for season 8, uh, really any free time that I had, you could find me at the gym. Like, Jamie and I didn't have dogs at that point. So all I did, I trained, my diet was on point. And I was up there, podiuming with, big name female ninjas, Jessie Alyssa Beard, Rachel Goldstein. I was up there, NNL competitions. I was right up there with them. And then, I applied for season 8, and I'll tell you, it was devastating to me to not get the phone call that year. It seemed like everyone around me was getting the call, and I lived in South Jersey with Jamie, and filming that year was in Philadelphia, and that's when the Fantastic Four happened. And like in my mind, I really thought, if I would have gotten a call, it would have been a Fantastic Five. And so that was like super hard for me, and really hit me kind of hard. And at that, I trained pretty hard again for one more year, didn't get the call again for season 9. And then I just completely shifted. I said, you know what, this isn't going to be, my claim to fame. I still love it. I'm still going to participate in it, but I think I'm going to take a little bit of a back seat to, actually getting on the show and find other ways to get involved. And I mean, I'm still doing competitions. I still, I just qualified for NNL World Finals not that long ago. So I'm still, very much involved on the competition side, but I haven't even applied for the show the last 2 years, and I don't know if that's going to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and thank you just for being real about how that felt back during the season that the Fantastic Four kind of came out. I'm also just wondering, like, how, looking back, I know we're going to get into more of like your role now and what you're doing now, but can you just tell us more of how that really like made you feel, or what, like, did you feel, I'm dating Jamie, have all these friends, I'm in this community, like, why am I not getting picked? Or even just, did it make you have like a strong reaction to want to do something else entirely? Or I'm just wondering, like, what you felt like your move after that was.
So after season 8, I really wanted to give it another shot. I was like, I guess, there's other couples and stuff that are in here that are bigger names. Like, for example, Jeff had just climbed the mountain, and him and Jessica were still involved. I was like, okay, so they have, that avenue or that casting already filled. So maybe that's why I didn't get a call. So I, tried again pretty hard for season 9. And then when that didn't come, I just couldn't understand why. Like, I thought I was the shoe-in, with having the relationship with Jamie, and, them being able to play that up. And the fact that I had the skill, backing up me, I just couldn't understand. So at that point, I really kind of did search for some other things. Like, I started to get a little bit into circus stuff a little bit. And then I found some OCR racing. So I'm still pretty involved in the OCR world too. Not quite as involved as Ninja, just, because that really is where my heart lies. But, I started doing a lot more OCR racing, started getting back into some distance running. So just found some other outlets for things, and just, again, realized that my claim to fame wasn't going to be on the show American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, which of course, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, all of us have had specific purposes and specific like outlets and roles in the community, which I'm, like I said, I feel like I'm leading up to some hype here. There's definitely a lot more going on that Kim will have you explain soon, but also April, I want to jump into, you have been involved with the ninja community in so many different ways. Similar to Kim, the same question, did you feel like you wanted to be on the show alongside Drew, or did you feel like that was not your place, or that's not what you wanted?
Yeah, there was definitely a time where I was submitting videos and training really hard. Originally, like I said, I didn't really know what ninja was in the beginning, but I kind of just went because I had stopped high school sports and didn't really know what I was going to be doing with my life. I didn't have any really goal in mind for college, so I decided I wasn't going to go to college, and so I just needed something else to do. So I started doing this, and then Drew and I kind of formed a relationship, and I just started doing something, which was that ninja at the moment. Because I didn't really like the parkour stuff at first, but then when Drew started setting up like cliffhangers and stuff at the gym, I was like, this I can do. This I don't feel like I'm gonna fall and hurt myself. So I started doing that, and then I started getting pretty good. And then I actually wasn't old enough at the time to submit. I was like in between 19 and 20, so I was just playing around at the time. And then when I hit 21, which was the age cutoff at the time, I started submitting videos, and I think our relationship was pretty new at that point, and it's kind of hard when you're in a relationship with somebody so high up that you actually feel like you kind of have to be at their level to be recognized with them as well. So there was a little bit of pressure on that. And then eventually it just started getting, for me, it actually just became too much pressure in a sense. Like I felt like I would let Drew down, or I felt like somebody would expect something of me, and just like expectations and pressure kind of got to me a little bit. And it started giving me some like anxiety and too much, and so I started training even harder because I just was like, well, I have to be at a certain level to even, submit myself to this pressure. And then I got injured, actually, like twice in the same year. I hurt one ankle and then I hurt the other ankle coming back from that. And it just built up so much, just the pressure to do well for somebody else and then not being happy with myself. It just kind of weighed too much on me. And I was like, why am I even doing this so hard? Because I'm not happy with it. And I got to a point where I just kind of stepped back. I was like, I really need to just step back and kind of focus on what's going to make me happy. And it wasn't that Ninja wasn't making me happy. It was just the overweighing of pressure and expectations of myself. It wasn't even to do well for Drew or to do well for fans or anything. It was just, I put that pressure on myself and it was too much. And I decided I really enjoy coaching. I love working at the gym. I love piecing together all these ninja stuff and supporting Drew and just our ninja fam. And when I realized that's what made me happy and not the competing aspect, I really just kind of decided that I would only compete if I felt right competing. So
Yeah.
there was definitely a point where I wanted to be on the show, but I think it was just, I think being from a competitive sports community and moving into ninja and not being at the top
Hmm.
just was too much for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I just had to really step back and find happiness in different ways, but it wasn't the ninja community that I didn't love. It was just the
Right.
competing. Like, and I think it's okay now looking back at it that you don't have to compete to feel involved and feel at home at a gym or surround yourself with other people too.
Yeah, I think that's something that's so important to recognize, and thank you for your honesty. Like I love just what you explained because I feel like a lot of fitness couples have felt that aspect from at one point or another of just like wanting to not let the other person down or feeling like this pressure to match their level of skill or competition or whatever it is. And that can definitely be debilitating and can totally throw your focus or like you said, like bring about anxiety or even just so much pressure that like you end up getting injured because of lack of focus or like pushing too hard or like whatever it is. Like what was the process for you like to be able to really recognize like I'm not happy, I need to do like do something else or like do what's going to make me happy in this situation? Because I can imagine that you could it's easy to tell yourself that and then have a hard time actually accomplishing that and actually getting to a place where you're happy and not stressed out about the situation. Was that something that you talked with Drew about, or was it like an internal thing you just had to process?
Yeah, I've definitely, Drew and I are open books to each other all the time, so he was very aware, and he's really just so humble to other people, including myself, about how he clearly doesn't care, what I do as long as I was happy, and he's really good about just seeing me over stress about anything, whether it's ninja, whether it's writing something or cleaning something or just too much on anything. He's very much like, you need to take a step back. And so he was very supportive, um, of all aspects. Like he said he didn't care. Like he thought it was really cool that I wanted to try out at some point, but he was totally fine with me not trying out and being on the show either. And then there was a point where, what if I actually do compete and stress on Drew because he wasn't focused. Now he's focused on me and what I'm feeling. And it was just so many what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, what ifs. And it was just so much where I really just wanted to step back. He was like, that's fine. I would love for you to step back because you're stressing me out. And I was like, good, okay, we're on agreements with this one.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I love the open communication. That's so important. And I just think it's cool to be able to recognize even what you're saying, like all of these what ifs, and to respect each other enough to want to do like what's best for you as a couple even. Have you ever had it happen where you're traveling and you realize that the city that you're traveling to has a ninja gym and you have to go? Or you literally want to plan a whole trip around visiting ninja gyms all over the country? It can get expensive hitting up so many open gyms at so many different locations. Well, there is now a solution to how to tackle visiting the ever-growing list of ninja gyms that you want to explore. The Ninja Passport is your ticket to all things ninja. For one annual price of $49, Ninja Passport gives you one free and one half-price open gym per year at nearly 140 ninja destinations worldwide. Now you might be thinking, that all sounds great, but I have kids, I have a family, and no matter what, every time we go to the ninja gym, it's expensive. Well, Ninja Passport offers family discounts. You can get a 2-pack or a 3-pack at a discounted rate. This is an awesome way to explore gyms all over and not be bogged down by the cost. Of course, you love ninja and are willing to pay what's necessary to enjoy this sport and the community that we love, but why not reap the benefits of this amazing program and check out all the gyms that are already part of the membership? The Ninja Passport is also a cool way to keep track of the gyms you've visited around the world. You can even share your ninja knowledge in the Flex forum and see their ever-growing events calendar. This is a cool feature of the website that literally shows events from leagues and ninja groups all over the country. So next time you want to know what's happening this weekend, check out the Ninja Passport's comprehensive calendar first, and contact Ninja Passport if you want to get your gym or your business to be represented on the Ninja Passport. Plus, Passport members get exclusive discounts with ninja retailers. Check out all the details on theninjapassport.com. And of course, for our Ninjababes listeners, you can use code Ninjababes for a 10% discount on your membership. All of this savings is insanely amazing, so take advantage of it. Check out theninjapassport.com. So you've probably seen me in the commercials for Sleep Ovation on the Instagram ads or the Ninjababes YouTube channel, talking all about the sweet air channels and the 700 tiny mattresses in one, or you've heard about it from somebody, because I feel like a lot of ninjas are starting to try out the mattress and see what it's really like for themselves. I can tell you, I've been sleeping on it for the past year and I love it. I got it last year right around my birthday, so I'm really excited actually to think about having this bed for a year because I love it. I wouldn't go back to anything else, and I really want to encourage you, if you are looking for a mattress or if you're just curious about it, you can check out my review on YouTube and see all the reasons why I love it. And if you want to try it for yourself, they have a 100-day money-back guarantee where you can try the mattress for 100 days, and if you don't like it, they'll come and pick it up. And of course, you can use code Ninjababes, all caps, Ninjababes, for an additional discount, which would bring you up to $450 off your order. So check it out on sleepovation.com or use one of the links from the ads in the Ninjababes YouTube channel. Other exciting news is we have a lot of really cool events coming up because you can now book an event very easily on theninjababes.com. So if you head over to the events and bookings page, you will see a brand new menu of what I have to offer. So there are 3 different workshops. These are similar to the types of workshops I've been teaching around the country, but you can now see an easy way to book them for your own gym. There's also a consult with Kara option. Basically, this is an online one-on-one where you can meet with me to talk about your goals, specific struggles you have with building a positive mindset for all the Ninja Babes out there who really want to develop their positive mindset and that strong mental strategy. Maybe you listen to the podcast and you feel like, wow, everything we talk about in the podcast really resonates with me. How can I take it one step further and really apply it to my life? Well, that would be a great opportunity to book a one-on-one with me so that I can truly help lead you to those further steps in getting to your goals, building your mindset, and really stepping out of your comfort zone and finding that courage for yourself. There's also an option for booking a public speaking event where I come and I will share my motivational story and how I got to the place I'm at today, whether it's for a small group, a youth group, a Girl Scout troop, school, whatever it is. I would love to meet you and love to share my story. I want to talk more about, for both of you, for Kim and April, just how you see your relationship as a partnership and the ways that you have supported one another.
Sure. So kind of similar to, what April has said, with Drew and her having, super open communication. Jamie and I are very similar and have to be. So, when I was, pushing to hopefully get on the show and really training hard. I mean, Jamie was my number one training partner. And, we were always, pushing each other and trying to, bring each other to the next level. And, we're really good at helping each other get into like a mental space that we need to be, whether it's before a ninja competition or the show, or even like rock climbing. Like we love to rock climb together. So like if we're really having like a hard time, figuring out a route or a problem, just um, like getting each other into the right headspace. Like for example, I had a really bad fall bouldering about a year ago, I guess, and I gave myself a little bit of whiplash, which then led into having a really bad fear of high overhangs. And there was one specific route where the route wasn't hard, but it was like the second to last hold that you were just, you were on like a 45-degree angle. So you were slightly inverted and you had to reach up over a rock face. And I just could not force myself to do that. But then, like before the climb, Jamie just like, big bear hug, like helped me, with the breathing, and then was there spotting me. So like if I fell, I knew that he was going to make sure that I didn't hurt myself. And just like having that like full trust and that full support in someone is so integral in like helping you get over your fears, which is so awesome. And then, I mean, we're married. So, and, just like, April and Julie been together a long time at this point, we're in it for the long haul together. So like for us, I mean, we have now been on the road or moving for what feels like our entire marriage of 2 years. So really just, talking about career moves and what makes the most sense for both of us, in our professional career, as well as, how that's going to balance out with Jamie's training now. I mean, this this is his livelihood, like a lot of his appearances or the fact that, gym offers came through, came because of his skill level and his notoriety. So he needs to keep his training. He needs to keep his professional skill level up. So while making those moving or those traveling decisions, just what's, makes sense for us, as a family, financially, professionally within his training. So really just having that, open pathway of communication as we're making those decisions, which those decisions are still being made kind of almost on a daily basis right now, because we're still kind of a little bit of a transitory period, but it's good, and it just really strengthens our relationship.
Such an adventure. So it's changing.
Yeah. We've called it our world tour.
I'm glad that you touched on your training with Jamie, because mine and Drew's relationship has so many different aspects. But when I met Drew, he was a coach, and I actually was like, yeah, if we're going to do this relationship thing, you can't be my coach. Like, I was like, because I'm not your student. Like, I'm either going to be your girlfriend or I'm going to be your student. And it was obvious that I gave him an ultimatum, and he was like, okay, I get it, whatever. But, and then it continues. He's like, just let me train you, because I just know what you need to do. And I was like, I know what I need to do. I just can't do it. Like, I was like, my brain is like processing, but my body's not keeping up. But
oh yeah, Jamie can be my training partner, but he can't be my coach. Yeah, there's two totally different things there.
Yeah,
It's too close. Too close.
Where Drew's actually opposite. Like he knows, I just know his movements and what he's capable of. So he actually comes to me for advice sometimes, just because he knows that I know him so well. And it's just something that you've learned to have to know if you're going to be telling somebody advice too. And me, my personality, I'm the oldest of my siblings, so I've definitely got bossy tendencies to me. So all I have within me is to boss people around, and that's just part of my personality, and I can't help but do it to Drew too. So, but but yeah, I training together we don't really do like, I will be there supporting him in training life, which I can touch on at some point. But and then we have our business relationship, which we work together at our gym. And Drew's not there a lot because he travels so much, so somebody's got to pick up the pieces, and it just feels comfortable for him to leave his gym with somebody that he trusts and can be open with too. So, and then there's the competition side, which is almost a different relationship, but then there's a home side too. And you just have to learn to kind of turn off your work relationship and training relationship when you go home, because that's your, loving relationship, and you can't mix the two. At least in mine and Drew's relationship, we've learned, like, once you get out of the car and step into the house, like, whatever we're talking about at work is done, unless I need to remind him about an email or something. But if we're, dispute something at the gym, we're not taking that home with us. And if we have home issues, it's, which happens every now and then with couples, but we don't take that into the gym either.
I think that's so healthy, and that's such an important distinction. One thing that I'm wondering is, what sort of dreams do you have together with your partners? Like, I know there's been so many gyms opening. Kim, I don't know if you want to talk about UNX at all or what you guys are doing now, but how have you felt like you've been able to dream together and not just follow after what he wants, but truly together build something?
So Jamie's, dream is to continue competing as long as he's able to. He absolutely loves coaching and wants to make coaching, a safe endeavor across the board. Like you said, with so many gyms opening up, they're not necessarily, I'm going to say it lightly, qualified to be teaching ninja. So really kind of he's working, with different people, and Justin Conway in particular, to create like a coaching certification, which is awesome, and totally support him and his travel plans to need to get that done. But he knows that I have a career on the flip side, and I have a business degree, and I've used that business degree in the past, opening or running gyms with him. First Pinnacle Parkour back in Jersey, and then we went out to Colorado. Worked with a gym out there, getting that started. Right now, I have my hand part of the time, helping with Ultimate Ninjas, specifically in the St. Louis market, trying to get that, a little bit more popular out in St. Louis. And then I also just joined UNX, which, if you're not familiar, it's a new professional league, also with a streaming platform that right now is the home of the UNX Championship Series, which is that professional league. It's the only place you can watch it. But additionally, we are working to add new original programming and content to it, as well as things like home workouts. So there's a lot of things in the works there, and it's really challenging to me, which I love, and the fact that it's keeping me busy and really using my brain power and where my skill set is. So Jamie's great, and sometimes I do say yes a lot more than I should, but he's really great at bringing me down and like helping me to set boundaries when I need to. Otherwise I might work all the time, but he's great in saying like, hey, Kim, like, you have been up and you have been working for 12 hours. You should probably take a break. Let's go climb. But, really just pushing me and, helping me, when I have ideas that I need to bounce off of, or just, being there to talk about the workday and be like just an outside ear. So whether it's, needing to vent or having, trouble making a decision on something, he's always there to support, which is great. And then, we do have a dream to, set roots again. So like, that's kind of where we are right now is, where do we want to make, our landing spot? Where do we want to buy a home, start a family? He wants to have like a crazy, ninja barn. So, like we have like those family dreams too, that we're kind of just working towards together. And then professionally just supporting each other.
Yeah, that's awesome to be able to build those things together. And I love the ninja barn. I could, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I could see that. And it's going to be like painted, all these crazy colors. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, 100%. It'll be a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, the gyms are absolutely beautiful, but half of the crazy ideas for obstacles that Jamie has are pretty, there might end up being janky and not necessarily the most safe things. So they're the kinds of things that are going to end up going in the barn, but I can see people wanting to come and check it out. So it'll be great.
I have the whole opposite house mentality with Drew. I'm like, you have a gym, no obstacles in the house. I do know that he snuck some vertical limits up in our basement, and I let him have a pull-up bar just because he was really itching for one. So I let him have those two things, but I'm like, we're gonna keep the ninja stuff separate from the house life. But as far as like goals as a couple for Drew and I, really, it's just establishing a future for both of us together. And right now, we're more like live in the moment people with goals. And right now, our goal has been just to kind of get Drew training and win. And it was super cool that that happened this year. So it's kind of like, wow, what's our next step? But our step has always been setting something so that when Drew has to retire at some point in his life, which I don't see him retiring anytime soon, but there is definitely, um, at this time, we don't really know what the real age limit is for ninja and doing your best. But right now, like, that's where Drew's at. And yeah, but there's definitely going to be a cutoff age limit at some point. Not particularly of how late you can apply, because obviously there's definitely some, older competitors that are super respected in the sport, but there's definitely younger kids coming up, and you know deterioration of the body is a thing, especially when you're going so hard. So that's not something that Drew can be doing later on in his life. So right now our goals have just been allowing him to train and be his best athletic self until a time comes to where he can't. And so right now we're also just kind of trying to establish financial means for us in the future too, which is our gyms and livelihood of that, so we can be financially set for later on in the years when Drew might not be winning $1 million or whatever. So that's kind of like our goal, or our progression
Mm-hmm.
in a sense.
Yeah. How have you both felt like, I feel like from my perspective, you've both held so many roles, whether it's business partner, training partner, encourager, like being on the sidelines, but also being involved in the sport and training. And then being a wife, being a girlfriend, being a partner, being a life partner, like all these things. How have you felt like your role has been, like, as you've watched your loved one succeed and do so well and accomplish dreams, get so far, like start new businesses, all these things? Like, I know you've very much been almost like a behind the scenes supporter role, who's, I feel like, pulling all the strings, like making all the puppets move. But how have you felt like your role has been behind the scenes in what you're doing, and how do you see yourself as a supporter?
I guess I have been behind the scenes. I'm not the person whose face is super recognizable when you're out in public or anything, but at this point, I definitely feel like I am integral to the world of ninja. Like I've been around for so long, and I know so many people. And whether it's just making introductions for people to other people that might be able to help them out, but I feel like at this point, anytime that like something new is coming up in the ninja world, it's very rare that I'm one of the last to hear about it. Like I feel like I have my hand in a lot of things as they get started. I know, like you said, Kara, when you were thinking about starting Ninjababes, you reached out and had a conversation with me, just again bouncing off those ideas and seeing if I was able to put you in contact or had any ideas. And same thing with UNX. I was right there with Chris DeGangi and Ethan Swanson, launching that a couple months ago, and still working hand in hand integral with them, which is the new big thing in the ninja world. But me and April, we were both there when NNL first started, because our husbands were large gym owners, and sat on that board. I think April actually still has an honorary board seat on the NNL. But that was the big new thing 5 years ago. So I feel like at this point, like, my name is known in the ninja community, even if it's not, well known outside of the ninja community. But I'm super happy with that and totally content with it. Because ninja's my life. My friends are all a ninja. My profession's a ninja. My family's a ninja. So, I just want to continue to see this sport grow and blossom and develop. And it still has, so much room to grow, that, I'm excited to continue to be involved with it in whatever aspect I can. And I hope that it's still, helping and designing new and great things that are yet to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally see you as someone that I've always respected, but always trusted and felt like you hold a lot of wisdom. And I don't know if that's just from what I've observed, but I know that it's true more than that. But like I've seen you have your hands in so many different things, like you've said. And both of you, I know that you are strong women who make things happen. And that's one reason that I did want to talk to you on the show today, because it's like I often interview people who, they've had some sort of accolade in Ninja on the show or in NNL or whatever it is, and they have some feat of specific strength on the course in a way that people have seen it. But I know that you both are physically strong, physically capable, great athletes on your own, but also just that strength that comes from behind the scenes where you are able to make so many things happen and develop businesses, do so many other strengths that are not always seen and not always recognized. And so I definitely commend both of you just for all of the hard work that you've put into your own gyms and helping to support your husbands and support the process and everything that's been going on. And so yeah, I love that. I definitely see your strength in all of the many ways that it's come out. April, how do you feel like you've really just sort of like lived out your role behind the scenes of being a supporter, being a partner, being all these things? How have you seen yourself like in your biggest support role, I guess? Like how do you feel you see that play out?
Yeah, I feel like I've just been with Drew so long, and Drew has had so many opportunities, and almost so many opportunities to where it got overwhelming, but also hard to turn down at the same time. And again, it's so hard to not support somebody when you see how capable they are of greatness in a sense. So it's like when he got offered this great opportunity to start what's now Real Life Ninja Academy and Real Life Ninja Academy franchises, he was also an athlete. It's so hard to be a business owner and an athlete. Like you can't spread yourself part way here and there, because you're going to lose something. You're going to either slack on your business at some point, or you're going to slack on the training at some point. And I can't train for Drew, but I can do business stuff in a sense for him. So it's just helpful to have somebody there supporting you so you can be your best self, of course. And then I love working with children and kids and being a coach. And like I said, I'm a really bossy person, so I love anything that has to do with rules. Um, so I love just helping anything get started and established and structure for anything. So I've helped structure the gym with classes, and Drew has a whole curriculum that we follow through our gyms. So really just getting that so it's understood better for our coaches, because sometimes Drew's so full of advanced knowledge that almost explaining beginner stuff can sometimes get lost, or working with kids can sometimes get lost. So it's just nice having somebody there to kind of see both sides of things too. So I did really help Drew a lot with just wording of certain things for his curriculum and breaking stuff down for kids. And we even go through DGS, which is our supply company that's helped Drew manufacture his equipment too. So I've even designed equipment set for children too. So it's a lot of, I don't know, I find it fun to kind of create all this stuff for just bettering the sport too.
Yeah. And it's cool to see all the things that you guys have developed, and it's just such a way to give back to the sport in general. I'm wondering if you girls have any advice for other women in the sport. You've been around a long time, being able to be a part of it and observe what's going on. And I'm just wondering if you have any observations of either how the sport has changed or observations of women in the sport and like advice that you'd like to give or anything along those lines.
The sport of ninja has just grown in population so much since, I first came on the scene in, season 7. There was almost, no one involved when I first started. I had, one female training partner that I knew of, and I was just lucky about that. Like she had been involved since like season 4, season 5, and was just local to me. But now, no matter where you are across the country, like there's other strong women. And if, you're interested in getting involved, like just start, like grab a training partner, grab someone else that, just likes movement, whether that's, going out there for a run or, has, that itching to play on the playground, with you or with her kids if she's a little bit older, like just someone that enjoys life and wants to move around, grab her and become a training partner with her. Cause I really, truly do feel that you have so much more success when you have that person that's there to hold you accountable and help set goals. And it just makes it so much more fun. I find a lot more fun training with other females than I do necessarily with all the guys, and guys are great, but there's just something about training with another female. Just there's a bond unlike it, with anyone else. So, if you can find a training partner, that would be my biggest advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that bond too. I mean, that's why I started Ninjababes partially, is just like wanting to continue to build that camaraderie and like build that sisterhood and give more opportunities for girls to train together both physically and mentally. So I totally hear you there. April,
Yeah.
share your words.
I guess I'll just touch on, I guess a lot of our topics were just about being a supportive behind the scenes person, which there's a lot of us out there. Uh, whether it's girlfriends or wives or friends or parents too. There's just a lot of supportive roles out there. Um, and being a coach too, I have a whole different line of support as opposed to being a girlfriend to somebody too. So I guess my advice for supporting people is, well, I think the biggest thing you have to remember is most of the time you go home with these people afterwards, or you are going to end up going back to the gym and training with these people afterwards. And they're people that have emotions. So my biggest advice for being a support is really reading people in the moment. I'll use Drew for example because that's who I support the most. But there's definitely days when he is not at his best mentally, and sometimes it's just you get tired, cranky, Drew, and then sometimes you get like, you know, almost overconfident, Drew, too. And it's finding those times to really reel back in a sense, or kind of encourage in a sense. So there's so many different aspects you can support somebody. Um, and then there's so many parents involved too, and I'm so excited to be a parent soon, just because having relationships with so many parents for our kids at the gym that compete, um, there's definitely, like, I have so much experience like seeing them in competition settings and stuff, and it's just nice to know what type of parent that I would like to be, which is um, I definitely don't want to overcoach my kid in a sense. I'm really just want to support them and let them know that there's life after this competition, which is a huge thing, and you can't put too much pressure on somebody that you're going home with, because then that can follow you home too. So just being there for them when they need it. And now I am hard on Drew. Um, I guess I'll use an example from this past season, which is Drew's safety pass, which was like not a fun moment for anybody, I don't think. But I remember he was like 84 out of 90 or something like that. Like, he was really late, and I remember seeing him like a couple people before his run, and I was like, oh, he was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I just don't feel it tonight. And I was like, well, that sucks, because you're going to have to do it. But like, what are you doing? Like, where are your shoes? Like, where's this? And are you listening to music? Like, you don't even have your headband on. And this is like 3 people before his run. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. And so I'm walking over to the on camera sideline area, and I'm like, Drew looks like crap. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I just don't know about this one. Like, I just had a really bad feeling. Like, he was clearly mentally distraught, and I've never seen him like that. And I was like, Flip, you have to go talk to Drew, because I can't talk to him like right now because he needs somebody different than me. And it was so important that I tried to step back because I didn't think that he needed to hear from me in that moment. Um, and then Flip was talking to me and he was like, yeah, I don't know. He looks like crap. Um, so he gets on the starting block and I see his pants are tucked into his sock and I'm like, this is not going to be good. And, unfortunately he fell. Luckily enough, he had that safety pass. So I'm walking back to like the ninja holding area, which is where they hold all the competitors. And then I see Drew like wet, and I was just like, tell me what you need to like, tell me what you need me to do because they're pushing him to run because there was only like a couple people after him. So they're really pushing him to run quickly for this safety pass. And he's like, I just don't want to be here tonight. I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I'm just not. And I was like, well, that sucks because you don't have another opportunity to do this. And I was really hard on him. And I've never been that way before. Like, I've always been very, like, kind of encouraging, but that is not what he needed in that moment. And I was like, stern talking to him. Like, I was like, well, it sucks. And I was like, literally, I almost shook him. Like, I like grabbed him by the shoulders. I was like, he's like, I just don't feel it tonight. Like, I don't feel it. I don't want to be here. And I was like, well, then you need to look at this as just part of your training because Drew was doing this crazy training schedule beforehand, and he he was doing like 28 obstacles and then doing them again. Like he had these insane courses in the middle of the night. And I was like, Drew, you've done 20 something obstacles at a time. Like how many is on this course? He's like, I don't know, like 7. And I was like, then just do it. Like this is what you train for. Like you have to just like there's no other time because it's not going to be tomorrow. And I've just never been so stern with him before. And that's probably why I was like more nervous than any other season this one because he just didn't feel like himself during that night. And then after he like and then once I saw him kind of like getting amped up on the starting block the second time as opposed to like being like all shooken up, I was like, good, okay, I think I woke Drew up a little bit. And then he ended up doing really well the next 4 stages in a row, which is great. Um, and then I've had total opposite things with some of my kids where they've had mental breakdowns. They've been crying and upset before they ran, and it's just telling them that you don't care how they do. It's just you want them to go out there. And it's just different people and different days, different people need to hear different things. And I think that's the biggest way you can support somebody. Like there's been times where I didn't even talk to Drew because he wasn't in the mood to talk at all. He was just really focused and I was like, that's fine. I'm going to go away. Like I'm not going to push anything. So it's just being a supportive person for sidelining is just being able to read that person in the moment. And then it kind of transitions into life too. I feel like where you just have to read those people and read what they want to hear or give them what they don't want to hear in a sense.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And that's truly a skill because some people are not good at reading other people, especially, I think sometimes coaches can get into the habit or even parents with their kids who might be different or whatever the case may be. I think sometimes people can get in the habit of always like coaching or always encouraging the same exact way and just like a one size fits all type thing. But being able to truly read your kids or read your partner, whoever it is that you're trying to encourage and trying to get through to, like that is so vital. And that's amazing that you're just able to really lock into people and what they need. And it's great just like hearing your different experience. I think that's really awesome advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, of course, I feel like it's taken so much time to learn to read people and not everybody can, but I definitely see, you know, there's some parents out there that are, I think that's my biggest pet peeve with being a coach is seeing parents be disappointed in their kids. I think that's probably been my hardest thing. And it's, I've been to so many competitions, so it's not been like one occurrence. Like it's so many occurrences where they put too much pressure on their kids in a sense, and then it makes their kids feel bad. And I think that's the hardest thing I've seen with that. So I think being a positive support is so important because, again, you have to go home with these people. Like, children go home with their parents, and being in a relationship with somebody, you have to go home with them. So you have to not let these competitions outweigh your true relationships in a sense too.
Yeah, that's so important.
And I can completely agree with April, and knowing just even how to react after a competition. Sometimes, if your significant other, doesn't do that great, knowing whether, it's they need a little bit of coddling or a little bit of hugging, or, if they need just their space, to just kind of mentally process it on their own. That's another kind of skill that you develop as you become a supporter in this sport, is just how to, read that person when you come home. Like Jamie, for instance, like if he doesn't do as great as, he wanted to do, as like Baltimore this year. He fell, it was the first time that he hasn't made Vegas in, I guess, 6 years or something like that. And like I couldn't go up to him right after. Like Jamie needed his space. He needed to process. He needed to process probably for like 36 hours before he was ready to really talk about it, and talk about, how the experience and how he could, come back from that, and get out of that kind of negative mental space. So yeah, just kind of learning that is super important, exactly just like what April said. Because the sport of ninja and the ninjas itself, like it doesn't just happen on the course. It happens, before, it happens on it, it happens after.
Yeah, that's so true. Absolutely.
Yeah. There was definitely some times this past season when I was like, Drew was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go home. And I was like, not after until you do 5 rope climbs or something like that. And he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm dead serious. There was times where I was literally like giving him more, and it was so weird because he was like kind of mad at me, but like kind of like with a fire under his butt in a sense too, because he's like, man, it gets me like irritated because you just know that I haven't given everything I've got, and it's like I cannot be lazy around you, and it like makes him mad, but like in a happy way. Um,
I love that.
uh, but yeah, and then I actually also don't cheer for Drew on sidelines either. Um, because I also think a big big thing is, unless somebody asks for you to like kind of give something to you in the moment, or if you need to be fixed, then or in the moment of an obstacle, it's okay. But for me, like I don't cheer for Drew because I don't want to like I don't want to break his focus, and I actually highly recommend that for a lot of parents out there, is try just clapping. Like a lot of the stuff that they take from me is really like before or like right at the end of the course, and they push it in there. But just clapping, because when somebody hears a familiar voice when they don't need to hear you, it can break their focus so easily. So I actually recommend trying just a just a clap process, and not everybody can hear during the course, but I would hate to be that reason to break Drew's focus in a sense. Like I would feel so guilty if that was my fault because too many people were yelling or something too.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
And everybody's different. I feel like sometimes it's hard to know, like, what does that person need
yes,
in the moment?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I just think it's like open communication before competition is good too. Um, like I Drew asked for different things from me than he's gonna ask for from Flip, which Flip's his training partner. I kind of coach Drew to push himself in a sense, but I don't actually train with Drew. But Flip does, and so Drew will ask Flip. He'll be like, "Can you time me and tell me what my time is at this obstacle?" Um, so he's looking for different things from different people, and I can't feel remorse or anything from that because I can't feel like I'm not enough for Drew to do that. It's just what he asked, and you have to be supportive of that in a sense too. And it even falls into the gym too. Like there's been times where Drew's like, if we're setting up courses, if Drew's setting up a course, then I really have to try not to say anything to him unless it's like a safety or like a height thing for children where he might just oversee something, but I can't nitpick everything he does because it's not healthy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just being what your person needs, whether it's your kid or your training partner or your significant other. It's just being what that person needs.
Yeah, that's great. Kim and April, it's been so amazing having you on the show. I love hearing your wisdom and just hearing all your stories of your strength and the ways that you've helped to shape and mold the sport and been such a huge, vital part of this community. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us, Kara. I really appreciate it.
Woohoo.
Yeah, it's been fun. I like talking, so.
Yeah, and just, letting people know that you don't always have to be on the course,
Mhm.
that there's so many other ways to be involved with the community. So
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure. Be strong.
be you.
Be a ninja babe.